We're making cornbread in a skillet. You're going to start off by preheating the oven to about 400 degrees. Put 4 slices of salt pork in your frying pan and then stick it in the oven. Let it cook till it's crispy. While you're doing that, you're going to start on your batter. Thank you. While your salt pork is cooking out to get the fat out of it, you're going to mix 1 1/4 cups of cornmeal with 3/4 cups of flour, just regular unbleached white flour. I use white lily flour, but really you could use anything, it's just personal preference. I use ATKINSONS cornmeal too, it's from a local grist mill. 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. You're going to mix them up well. In another bowl, you're going to combine your buttermilk and your melted butter and your 2 eggs. And once you get those all mixed up, you want to leave your frying pan in the oven. You can take the fat back out, it's already done, crispy. Save it, eat it, give it to your dog, whatever. Once you start mixing it all together, you're going to add one can of corn into your mixture. You want to keep your frying pan hot in the oven and then pour the mixture in there. You should hear it sizzle a little bit when you're pouring it in. Gives it a nice crust on the bottom. You want to use fat-free buttermilk. I've done it with whole milk buttermilk before and it changes the density of the cornbread. Fat-free works a little bit better. It's not quite as dense and heavy. While we're melting the butter, before we mix the flour with the milk and butter, you can go ahead and reduce the temperature to 375 degrees. You can add, I put corn in mine. A lot of people add other stuff, like I've had people put peppers in there and jalapenos, and you can take the cracklings that you fried, you cook the fat out of, you can mash them up and grind them up and put them in there as crackling bread. This butter, the original recipe calls for salt, but you don't need any salt because you got the salt out of the salt pork that's mixed in with the fat there. You're going to melt the butter down and try to not make it too hot. You don't want to cook the eggs when you put it in there. You just want it melted. You use 8 ounces of butter. Wet and dry ingredients. Our frying pan's ready. We mix the corn in there. Now we just put it in there and then cook it for 20 to 25 minutes. You're going to check it by inserting the toothpick in the center of it to see if the center's done. You'll be able to tell it should be a light golden brown on the outside when you're done. Depending on your oven, you might have to add another 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, but usually about 25 minutes is good. It's still hot. We just put the mixture into the frying pan. I'm using a 10.5 inch skillet. If you use anything bigger, it's gonna thin out, and you might not have to cook it as long. I've never done it anything but a 10.5 inch skillet. It's going in the oven now, 25 minutes. Let's check our cornbread out. Yep, looks good. Golden brown. I gave it about an additional 5 minutes. Should be good. Let's flip it out onto the plate. Oh yeah, that looks good right there. Flipped it onto one plate. Now I'm going to flip it and put it in a pie plate. And then you're going to let it sit. That's our finished product right there. If you wanted to, you could add more butter to it, but it really shouldn't need it. And some people put sugar in theirs. I didn't put any sugar in mine. Some people like to put like a quarter to a half a cup of sugar, but you really don't need it in there.